This is one of the best-selling home gym systems of all time with over 4 million freaking units sold globally since 1996. They had the absolute GOAT, Chuck Norris, introduce it. This is the Total Gym. You may be asking yourself, Coop, why have you never reviewed the most popular, best-selling home gym system of all time? It's because I thought it was freaking goofy. But I must say, I think now I am a believer. I don't know why suddenly it's gotten so popular, but supposedly there's a ton you can do on it. When I was out at FIBO in Germany, I tried it. So we're gonna bring it in, we're gonna unbox it, open it, then we'll do a full review weeks later after we've used it a lot. But I wanna show you because one of the unique things is you can open it without any assembly required, supposedly. Sam, bring out the beast. Kind of sounded like, we've got the meats.
We have the meat.
No tools required. And they call it the Total Gym because technically it's designed to replace your Total Gym.
It says no assembly, but I'm already finding parts that are not attached.
Little assembly. I think no assembly just sounded better. You guys already know what I'm gonna say. 2 things. More knurling, more aluminum on the pulleys. Maybe we should do like a special edition.
Coop's Total Gym.
Total Gym. I'm dressed like Tony Little. There's a lot of pieces and parts, which is kind of cool. I like attachments, modularity. The open cell foam though, man, I hate this stuff. After this gets sweaty and everything, oh, it's like, why?
Whoa. The Total Gym training deck.
Your personal training system.
You got cards. I don't hate stuff like that.
I don't either.
Kind of
You don't have to use it. You don't have to use it. Listen, we're talking about function here.
Okay.
One of the things with Total Gym that's kind of a problem that I foresee is the fact that because they own the market on these things, the innovation on them probably isn't a ton, you know?
You mean Kepi's not even ripping them off? And I feel like as a company in 2025, you gotta be asking yourself, is my product any good if other companies aren't trying to rip it off?
Ooh, there are wheels for moving. That's pretty nice. This is honestly thin enough when it's fully disassembled. If you had a really small space, you could fit this under like a bed or something. A Total Gym under a bed. If somebody said to you, yeah, I've got a Total Gym in my garage, how would you respond?
What kind of pieces of equipment did you pick?
Yeah, maybe we should read the directions.
Step 1,
Use
pull
it
it
to
out of the
expand.
box. 2, expand it out of the box.
Please stop. Pull out black knob pin and lift the vertical column. Okay, so this is about where we need, but there's a black knob pin. Black knob pin. Just tell us where.
Find the pin.
You see a black knob pin? Black knob pin. You see a black knob pin? Aren't you the assembly guy? You can't find a black knob pin?
Well, this is the Total Gym. We'll see you next time.
Oh, here we go. Black knob pin. There we go. Yep, that's what I'm talking about, baby.
Go down like this.
Man, that thing is long. Wow.
That's what she said.
I wasn't expecting it to be that long.
That's also what she said.
All right, now we gotta lift this railing system up. Ooh, very nice. A lever right here, double pin system. I like that. I like that. Okay, there's all sorts of attachments for it. Let's see. They've got dip bars, press bars, wing attachment. They have a weight bar, so if you need more weight for say leg movements, you can actually load plates. Dang, that's pretty cool.
Looks like there's some adjustability down low too.
Maybe it like inclines or something. Okay, okay.
Okay.
You know, I think the question is gonna be, do you really want/need all of that adjustment? Or is it, you know, just good how it is? I'll just start with some flies. Very smooth. It's very smooth. Much smoother than I think you'd expect. I'm gonna need to spend some time with this. There's a lot going on.
Can you imagine walking out on your spouse? Just doing
Swimmer.
that one.
Yeah, why not? So let me get some time with it, and then we'll get to the review, which will be now. Okay, let's take it from the cold tub to the hot tub. Then pull this pin and pull this back. All right, it's fully extended. Literally, this thing is, oh. Okay, before I go into my favorite movements, I wanna talk about what I actually really like about the unit. I do wanna shout out my buddy Mike from Hybrid Resistance. I would definitely say the reason I'm reviewing this is because he wouldn't stop bugging me about it. Also, he is, in my opinion, the total gym GOAT. Most people thought this was absolutely stupid for real training until he started making videos on it. So shout out to Mike. Now, this thing is very underrated, I think, for actual training. Part of that is because of the marketing that they've done. The reality is, I'm not gonna lie, nearly all of these companies that I've used and I thought were just goofy as all get out, they've actually proven to be pretty good. Ironmaster is one of my favorite companies now. PowerTech, their machines I'm in love with. The Total Gym, I'm not gonna bury the lead here. I really like it in some ways. In some ways, I absolutely hate it. But in other ways, I absolutely like it. But I think part of it goes back to the fact that they market it and use terms like tone. Anytime a company uses the word tone, I want nothing to do with it. Initially, double front, single hand side. Ooh, behind the neck for the triceps. Kind of hard.
That's what she said.
But now, we brought it in-house to review. I've been testing and using this bad boy in the 5 billion different exercises that you can do with this thing. It is actually kind of complex and overwhelming at first. Once you get into it, you start to realize some things. I'm gonna review the system. I'm gonna tell you what I really like about it, tell you honestly what I don't like about it, and then lastly, I'm gonna show you some of my favorite movements that I've done with it. Come on, man. Show the head. We have an audience member. But if you're interested in this, we'll put some links down below the like button. Also, if you'd like to see some more budget versions of this, I actually plan on reviewing some over on our Budget Gym Co-op channel. Put a link below the like button if you'd like to see those, because the reality is you may be looking at this and be like, wow, that looks like a budget piece. It's not. It's not, folks. It's ridiculous. I'll talk about that later. Let's talk about the machine, because this thing in some ways absolutely slaps. Am I too old to say that?
No.
Okay. Slaps. Slaps.
Oh man, but you're just ruining it. Look at my lips, you're ruining it. Ruining.
It's just incredibly versatile. In fact, they include this training deck, which are basically Pokemon cards with every movement, and there's a lot more than this that you can do. It's frustratingly versatile. There's some things in life that you're like, I just want a couple options. There's other things you just want a crazy amount. This is one of those things where you just have a crazy amount of versatility that you can do with it, which kind of makes me think the audience that it's actually marketed towards is one of the worst, because a lot of the people who have total gyms are people who are just trying to get more healthy and fit. And because of that, they get a machine like this that can do everything. They don't do anything with it because they're inundated by options. But for those of you that like to tinker, there is a lot here. First off, the most underrated component of this is the fact that it is so versatile. I talked about the training deck with 86 freaking different movements. There's 200 plus different exercises technically that you can do. The versatility of this is fantastic for nearly every body part except for one really important body, which I'll talk about a little bit later. Next is something that maybe is kind of surprising, but the fact that you can progressively overload body weight movements. The resistance comes primarily from your body weight plus gravity. It is technically body weight resistance with some caveats, which I'll give here in a moment. But the way that you typically would progressively overload a body weight movement, let's say a pull-up, is you either gain weight, you do more reps, you manipulate your movement so it's harder to do the movement, or you can technically add weight with like weight vests, dip belts, those sorts of things, so you can do weighted pull-ups. This is very similar. The difference is you can increase the difficulty, progressively overload, by doing more reps. You can also increase the difficulty with this. This is kind of the main way that they recommend increasing resistance. This is their tower. You have increase in incline that then allows greater resistance depending on if you're more or less parallel to the floor. So as you can imagine, a higher incline all the way up to 16 is a lot harder and heavier resistance than something a lot lower. Now, depending on the movement, you're gonna want heavier or lighter, and this also allows you to increase the load over time. Now, there's other hacks you can do to increase the weight on these. They're not necessarily designed for it, but I think you can definitely do it. One is attaching bands. Another is attaching a weight bar. They actually make a weight bar where you can add extra weights to increase the load. Another is you yourself wearing a weight vest makes you heavier, or you could technically add something like an anchor or say a Beyond Power Voltra if you really wanted to increase resistance. That being said, I think for a lot of people, for most movements, not every movement, you would be fine using just this and your body weight. Then, range of motion. The range of motion on this bad boy is king. One of the things about this one specifically, this is the Evolve. I'm gonna review and talk about this one somewhat, but really this applies to most of them. One of the major differences about this one is they have some comfort of life features like better padding and things like that, which, that being said, the vinyl on padding is actually not good. But in addition to that, the main thing is it has a taller tower. Because it has a taller tower, you can have greater resistance level. But to show you, this is the lat pull down. You can get a full range of motion stretch all the way down and then all the way up as much as you'd like. As you can see, honestly, the resistance on this right now is not the greatest for me. I could definitely go a lot heavier. One way I would do that is by increasing this higher, adding bands or adding weight to my body or with weight bars. Or you can also do one arm for increased resistance. But as you can see, the total stretch all the way down, but the range of motion doesn't just apply to lat pull downs. You can also do it for shoulder press, squats, and other movements where you just have a lot of range of motion thanks to how long the carriage is and how tall the tower is, which one reason that matters for some of you is the fact you can put this, say, in a basement where you may have more width than you do have height in your room. So you may not be able to fit a full power rack to do pull-ups and those sorts of things, but you may be able to get full range of motion with this because it's longer rather than taller. This does have the benefit of having a direct line of force, which means this right here. If you're gonna do a movement, say like a delt raise, whether it's a front or side lateral, your resistance is coming all the way through. So a lot of times on this part of the movement, which is the most stretch on a front delt raise, or if you're doing a side lateral, say here, the resistance at the most stretched part of the movement is often some of the lowest, say a dumbbell, because there's actually no resistance until you get here. This, similar to other cable machines, you're able to have maximum resistance at the bottom of the movement and then all the way through till you're about parallel. This is different or pretty much the opposite of what you find with most dumbbell movements because when you're doing lateral raises, nothing here and tension starts about here and peaks here and then goes down again. This, you have resistance all the way through till you're about here. At the most stretched portion of the movement, does feel fantastic. Then, as big as this bad boy is, I showed you in the beginning, it's actually quite compact when it's folded up. Now, for me, the folding up aspect of this is kind of annoying. You put this down, it's not like it's a crazy hard thing, but if you don't have a ton of room where you can just have a dedicated gym, this is an option for you where you could have a lot of versatility in a compact space where you could take it out, use it, and then put it away when you're not using it, so long as you have enough length for the actual unit. Now, before I get into some of the movements, those are some things I like about it, but there are certainly some things that I do not like about it. First off, this is designed to be a full body piece. In fact, they talk about how you can have a full body workout. And technically, you can have a full body workout. The problem comes mainly in the strongest body parts you have. And what is the strongest body part that takes up a majority of your body or a lot of your body? Your legs. Now, can you do leg movements? Absolutely. They have things like this board that you plug in here, which you can then do body weight squats. The problem is, even at this max resistance level, all the way up, if I get on this board and do squats, I can get depth, but this is nothing. One leg is nothing too. For somebody who's serious into training, this isn't going to replace your barbell. It's not gonna replace your squat rack. This is, in my opinion, in addition to those, and because of that, although it's great for upper body, it may be problematic for many of you that are wanting to use it for lower body too. There are some movements you can do to isolate, say things like prone leg curls, where you attach an ankle cuff up here, lay down prone, face down, and then do curls. Those sorts of things can isolate the hamstrings and feel good, but on your big compound movements, you're still gonna have to deadlift and squat and do some of those barbell movements if you wanna build mass and strength in the lower body. Next, although it can do a lot of movements, a lot of the movements feel extremely awkward. Your body weight is providing the resistance. So in order to do something like a shoulder press, you're having to flip your body and go upside down. I don't like being upside down that much. It hurts my head. There's a lot of blood that flows there. It's kind of in some ways similar to some calisthenic stuff where you have to get in those positions in order to move those body parts because you're using your body and the floor for resistance versus using a cable stack, dumbbell, or free weight. So there's positives and negatives with that. I will say one benefit though about having to get in those positions is the fact that you're almost always having to stabilize your core. So for hypertrophy, a lot of times it's really great to have a stable surface and you're just able to focus on the movements. You still can do some of that, but the difference is almost always you're stabilizing your core. Even like say on incline flies, which I like a lot on this, you're still having to stabilize and stay there so you can focus on the movements. That can be a benefit for some, a detractor for others. I think the biggest detractor, I said this in the intro and this is frustrating, this thing is ridiculously priced. This bad boy, which is their higher end unit, the Evolve, they have cheaper units, but would you believe it? It's 50% off. Christmas in July is the sale. It's incredible. Sam, how much do you think the Total Gym Evolve is on Christmas in July, 50% off sale?
$868.
$2 grand, $2 grand. I cannot believe it. Now, that being said, this is their higher end home unit, but they do have less expensive units. The Classic line is currently 60% off and is $880. They've priced themselves out of the market for a lot of people. There are many competitors out there that are cheaper, which I'd like to review and kind of give a breakdown because the sliding board idea as a training implement, I think can actually be very useful and particularly for upper body movements. Now, let me get into some movements. Okay, first we're going to do lat pull downs. Lat pull downs is one of my favorite movements on this. I kind of already showed it. So one variation of the lat pull down that I really like is actually the pullover. You can't do pullovers a lot of times in home gyms because you don't have the machinery for them. You can kind of do them with cable machines and some other machines, but I will say pullovers on this feel very good. So because you've got the great range of motion, you can go all the way down and then come. And I'm telling you, the resistance on the pullover feels very good. The stretch is amazing. If you want to increase the stretch, one thing I found is adding something like a bench wedge from AbMat right here, just some sort of pad so you can get even greater scapula extension. Oh. On the lats, oh buddy, that feels good. Then another option that you can do is a seated row. Again, one of the things that's so beneficial of this is just the absolute incredible range of motion you can get. So you'd lay back, seated row here. So you can come to just a crazy extension with the lats and then manipulate your body so you're coming back and then pulling forward. Another way that you can do it is just doing single arm, which one single arm is cross body like this. And if you could see the contractions right now, I don't think it's allowed on YouTube, it's so good. All right, so you built your barn door back, now you need to do some chest. One of the great things, again, about the chest press and a lot of these movements is the range of motion is very good. The other one I like on this is more of like your iron cross or chest fly. So you come out here, again, the stretch on this is just ridiculous, and then come through. The contraction feels great at the peak, but I like being able to lay on the board so I can just focus on the movement versus like focus on stabilizing. Then shoulders. One I showed was the side lateral. Sit on the side of the board. The resistance is really heavy at the stretch and then come through. Feels very good. Another one though that I've enjoyed is the front lateral raise. So you come on here like this, and even better than these is actually ankle straps, which I'd highly recommend if you get a Total Gym. Get ankle straps. You can attach them to your wrists, but you can also attach them to your legs if you want to do ham curls and things like that. But shoulder raises on this with ankle straps feels much better than these handles, but still, which the movement is a little bit different than a lot of people do front raises. So with like dumbbells, you're coming up a lot farther because you're trying to get to the peak resistance, which is going to be parallel. Whereas this, a lot of the resistance, you can get all the way back here. So if you keep your chest open, come through, actually feels very good. Okay, then you can do shoulder press. I do like the shoulder press handles. It's just shoulder press you got to get used to laying down. A bicep curl feels dang good. Lay down, you get full stretch and come up. Again, increase resistance in the normal ways, but thanks to the length of the platform, you can go full single arm and be just fine. Another way to make it even more difficult is if you wanted to add an AbMat preacher pad, you could basically put that here, put it in your arms, and then lay down for a simulated preacher curl. You could even use an arm blaster, throw it around your neck, and then you have resistance for your elbows. Then tricep extensions. You can control it all throughout the range of motion. I'm trying to figure out a way, and some people probably know this, basically so I can get it further back. I mean, maybe if I come forward more, that's the way you can do it. But generally tricep extensions, you just have to make sure you try to keep your elbow stable. Like anything, you can get these in such a way where you're using so much momentum that you're not really even working very hard. But if you try to control all throughout the range of motion, you're gonna get a much better training experience. Okay, then lastly, abs, legs. I've talked some about them. The legs are just okay. The main movement I would say for legs is going to be your lying leg curl. That one actually feels pretty good, but you gotta have an ankle strap. But for abs, one that's pretty nice, you can come up here and hold these horns, hold down here, hold here, whichever you'd like. And then you do knee raises. So out here and up. These can actually be very difficult. It's very similar, kind of the opposite of an ab wheel. Notice at the core, very nice. The attachments, there's shoulder press. This one comes with some dip bars and another bar, and also some pads for your elbows for different movements, and also the leg board attachment, which is like a leg press, but really short. Okay, all those said, let me summarize what I think of it. For upper body, it has a lot of versatility, has a lot of benefits, but do I think with the price point, what it can do, the fact that you have to spend $2,000 and you don't even get aluminum pulleys or knurling on the handles, I don't recommend this particular model, the Total Gym Evolve at $2,000. Some of their cheaper ones I could recommend. There's also alternatives out there that can be cheaper. I like sliding boards. I recommend sliding boards. This is not something I would recommend before your traditional squat rack, barbell, plates, dumbbells. You're still gonna want those and probably need those. And with how cheap cable stacks are getting now for functional trainers, the fact that you don't have to have it standalone, you can implement them in a rack so they don't take up a lot of space, that also takes away and carves out some of the niche that this has, which is kind of like a functional trainer in some ways. So all that said, do I like it? Yes, I do like it, but do I recommend it? For very specific cases. It depends if you meet the things that I've said. Okay, if you've used a Total Gym, I would love to hear from you. Let me know in the comments what you like about it. Is there some things I missed? Are there some other movements that you think really highlight what this does well so other people can see it, so I can try it too? Let me know in the comments. This has been Coop from Grouch and Reviews. I'll see you next time.